64 Tacos Podcasts presents Is This Song Good? This is episode 3, Flock of Dimes 2.
Okay, welcome to the 64 Tacos Podcasts. We are doing another one of our music podcasts. This time it's about a little band called Flock of Dimes, and the song is called Two. And we'll start off by talking about how terrible that name is for the band. It's like we can't remember it at all. So it's pretty amazing that somebody would actually pick that as a band name. But go ahead.
I think when we were just giving us a sneak preview of the next one we were going to be doing, I jokingly said Flock of Dimes in an attempt to get it wrong, and that because that's an absurd name. Why would you name a band that?
It was accidentally correct because it's that bad. But let me talk a little bit about how I found this song, and then we can talk about our thoughts about why we're talking about it, I guess. So the normally when new music comes out on Fridays, I usually go and look at and see what kind of albums are out there, and this one popped up, and I just thought I would listen to it and see what it was all about. And I had no idea who the person was or the band or the background or anything like that. And so I listened to the whole album, and that this song Two in particular just kind of like popped out. It's very catchy, very poppy. And then later on, I came to realize that it's this artist named Jen Wasner. And this is sort of her solo project that she does kind of on her own. But she's from another band called Wye Oak, that I've listened to a lot in the past. And I actually just started listening to a couple of their albums, and I was like, oh yeah, that's, I really like this vocalist. She sounds a bit like Annie Lennox. And then I was re-listening to some of the Flock of Dimes songs, and I was like, yeah, I really like this vocalist. She really sounds like kind of like Annie Lennox a little bit. And it wasn't until that I was like, wait a second, this is the same person. So it's kind of a strange little crossover there that I didn't really know what was going on. But the thing that really strikes me about the song is it is extremely catchy, and from an indie rock band, I think it's like it's kind of like the opposite of what we've been talking about. These other two, the other two songs, is that this feels like it's something that should be mainstream. Like it should be a pop mainstream song that shows up on like an easy listening or light rock type of like you might hear it in the dentist office or something like that. And is that kind of what it strikes you as well?
What the very first thing I thought of when I heard it was I am on a cruise ship in the Caribbean right now. That was the first thing that I thought, because it's kind of, I don't know what the instrument is, but it kind of has a Caribbean feel to it.
Yeah.
And that was my. I
don't think it's a steel drum, but it definitely kind of it's reminiscent of like a steel drum.
Right, but it also has that we're making sure we're not being offensive to anyone, just like you would find in a dentist office.
Right.
And I think I actually mentioned to Dan when we were working on my fence, when this song came on, I think my exact words were, I'm going to change it to something that doesn't sound like we're in a dentist office. Because we're outside building a fence and we needed something a little more upbeat. Yeah. Now that said, I did enjoy the song. I felt it had a nice, easy listen to it. It could it was great for stuff in the background, didn't interfere with with what you were thinking about or working on. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it as well. It does go down easy, but and like in a sort of not self-conscious way, if that makes any sense. Like it kind of reminds me of what's that band? Haim.
Okay.
that Dave, I don't know if you listened to or heard of Haim at all, but they're like another indie rock band that was like one of the indie rock bands who was embracing like easy listening, kind of radio friendly indie in the last like 10 years. Kind of, I guess I'm not an expert on them because I haven't really listened to them much, but it was like that. But that band always feels like they're being very sort of they're sort of like being very forward about how, you know, accessible they are. This just felt like it was just easygoing. Like it didn't need to get too dramatic about it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I particularly love the drum sound in it. They're using like I don't know, like the stick bundles or the brushes, but it's just recorded really nicely. I just really like the drums.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, like you said, there's like some synthy, maybe slightly Caribbean sounds going on, and it's all sort of very light, and you know, it doesn't kind of get in the way. And the vocals are like, you know, sort of like light and airy. You know, they're not like, you know, full-throated singing.
Yeah.
But it all kind of works together really well, and I found it very nice to listen to. Also, I was watching the video. I just was obsessed with deciding if that was future Kristen Stewart or not. Not Jen Wasner, but the other woman in the video. Right. I don't know who it was.
That's exactly what I thought, and I had to look it up. I was like, "Who is this?" Because she looks very, very similar to Kristen Stewart.
Twilight?
Is it future Kristen Stewart?
It might be. I mean, it's like even from the little thumbnail, like I just searched for it, and the thumbnail, it's like, that's Kristen Stewart right there. And then you start watching the video, and from different angles, it's like, okay, that's not Kristen Stewart. But
I assume that those two were the band at first, and because I just watched the video just to look it up on YouTube after you suggested. I was like, all right, well, let's start listening to it. And I was like, oh, those two must be in the band. But I guess it's just that must be an actress or a friend?
I think so. Yeah.
So that's not really relevant to the song, but. But yeah, no, I found it quite nice. It didn't get me excited to go listen to a bunch more Flock of Dimes.
Yeah.
But I also, if it were to pop up, I would be like, all right, well, let's see what else is going on. You know, like it didn't get me excited, but it didn't turn me off in any way. Yeah. And I thought it was a really nice song.
Yeah, and the album that it came from is vastly different. It's actually kind of like this song is a little bit out of place, and I really like the lyric. And we're all just wearing bodies like a costume till we die. I felt that really was kind of like a nice sort of imagery, or you know, just sort of like, you know, we all have our own different type of personality or a different type of outward appearance, and then we're dead, you know, and for some of us it is just a costume. Some of us don't really, you know, act the part or act who we actually are on the outside. But when
I was looking at the lyrics, it seems to me like that's a good line. That's the most sort of striking line. The rest of it's a little more sort of general, but it seems like she's talking about whether she wants to, I don't know, I kind of got the impression it was like, kind of, do I want to give up being myself? And so sort of like, do I lose that if I'm in a relationship or if I'm really committing to someone?
Yep.
Just wondering whether that's something that you can do. You can still be yourself, but be with someone. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's all sort of, you know, vaguely philosophical, but not very specific either. So, you know, that works well, because then it can be whatever you want it to be, you know, whatever the listener, you know, however they want to apply it to their life. That's always kind of good. Yeah.
The only other thing I really thought about it was that it has a strong reminiscence of Peter Gabriel's "In Your Eyes." And I can't really put my finger on exactly how. I don't know if it's like the underlying chord progression, or just the kind of light and airy mood to it, or whatever. But
I bet it's the choices in like the synth sounds, because Gabriel loves that world beat sort of, you know, from especially from his like early 80s stuff. So I bet that's it. But you're kind of, I didn't think of that till you said it, but that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also that sort of mid-tempo, not very heavy, sort of
Yep.
approachable thing too, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, any other parting thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I think that covers just about everything for me.
Yeah, it's a good song. I liked it. It wasn't like Dave said. Of the three that we've covered so far, or perhaps we'll call it this round of three, where we each brought one. I think it was the least striking song.
Yeah.
I feel like 20 years from now, it could come on and be like, oh yeah, you know, like I would. It wouldn't be like
Right.
I wouldn't like really get past it. You know, it would still be good. You know, whenever, because it's just really it's not. I don't want to damn it by faint praise by calling it inoffensive, but it's just sort of nice and slight, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for next time, a little teaser. I think it's my turn to pick a song.
Yeah.
So we should listen to. Now, if you guys have heard this one, I have a backup. Or like if you know it well, I have a backup. But I'm thinking we should do Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, the song "Stagger Lee."
Nope.
I'm sure
Good.
I've heard it once or twice, but I haven't really dug into it. So that sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard it enough to remember it extensively.
Okay.
So,
And we're definitely taking things in a very different direction with this song.
good.
So be prepared for that.
Yeah.
It's nothing like anything we've listened to so far in this segment.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Cool beans.
Cool beans.
I caught it on audio.